What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and show where I, Graham G.S. Matthews, break down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network and on Peacock. And today we're talking the July 8th, 2023 edition of the SmackDown LowDown. Now, it was hosted by Jackie Redmond and Matt Camp. They made the announcement, I think, early last week that it's going to be Megan Moran on the show alongside Matt Camp going forward. Now, they did not make mention of that here. I think Megan Moran was actually in the interview. No, actually, she wasn't. It was Kayla Braxton and Kathy Kelly doing the interviews on the show. So like I mentioned, not last week here on SmackDown LowDown, because there was no SmackDown LowDown last week due to the pay-per-view happening earlier in the day due to the fact it was in London, blah, blah, blah. Kathy Kelly's on SmackDown as the new backstage interviewer. Kayla Braxton staying put where she is. Kathy's replacing Megan, who's now going to be on Raw Talk and SmackDown LowDown, doing this stuff. Now, we did not see, I don't think, Redmond was on Raw Talk, I think, on Monday. I don't even fucking remember, and it was like 4 days ago. I'm pretty sure Jackie was on that show as well. She was here as well. They did not make mention of the fact that next week it's going to be a different lineup. So, maybe it was just for this week. I was under the impression that they were going to be changing the host by this episode, and that coming out of the pay-per-view, that would be the new lineup of shows, or the host, rather, with Megan Moran here on this show. Doesn't really make much of a difference to me. I'm just kind of pointing it out for anyone who does care. Just thought that was a little confusing. But Jackie and Matt did host this show. They opened up the episode replaying the Tribal Court segment that started off SmackDown on Friday. Stellar segment. I was there in the show. I was not part of the show. I was in Madison Square Garden for the show on Friday. Had a great time. A full on-set report, by the way, available right now here on the channel from yesterday, so check that out. They also replayed the final segment of the show that saw Jey Uso lay out Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns kind of stake his claim at the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship. They replayed the women's segment as well, the chaotic segment with Asuka, Io Sky, Bayley, Charlotte Flair, Bianca Belair. So we hear from Bianca backstage with Kayla Braxton. And Bianca says that after what we saw on SmackDown this week, she is very much prepared for her championship opportunity against Asuka next week on SmackDown. She's ready for her title opportunity. And she talks all the chaos going on in the division right now, the Io trying to jump the line and cash in, and Charlotte already having jumped the line and getting her title shot before Bianca. And she's going to settle it next week when she challenges Asuka for the WWE Women's Championship in a rematch from Night of Champions. They hype up the title match for next week back in the studio. They also replay the AJ Styles Karrion Kross match. Blink and you missed it. It was over pretty much immediately. I don't know if that was due to the fact that Kross was hurt legitimately, or time constraints, or both, but it was very forgettable and quick. Matt Camp says that AJ may have put Kross behind him, and I mean, Kross is done, dude. Kross, I love. The guy's done. He just can't fucking win a match to save his life, at least whenever it matters most anyway. They do recap the Austin Theory Sheamus United States Championship match. Real good match here, Theory retaining. I would say, unfortunately, it's time to get that fucking belt off of Theory, but I would rather it be LA Knight taking that title from Sheamus. So we hear from Theory backstage on the show, and he's asked by Kayla, I believe, which is why I think, because Megan was not on this show, which is why I think she just wasn't available, so she couldn't do SmackDown LowDown. But anyway, Theory says that he's similar to Pretty Deadly. They're both young, handsome, blah, 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 he says, and he calls himself the greatest United States champion of all time. Keep dreaming, buddy. I'm not sure who else would be high up on that list if we're including NWA and WCW and whatever. Maybe not in certainly not in WWE history. I mean, if the last couple of months have been any indication of what Theory's reign has been, it has been a complete fucking afterthought. And that was coming from someone who enjoyed his reign early on, all the matches he was having, quality matches, cheating in heel fashion, winning in heel fashion and whatnot, but he's barely been on the show the last couple of months since being drafted to SmackDown. He has regressed as champion compared to where he was on Raw, which is kind of astounding. But anyway, he runs down everyone that he's beaten, including Sheamus twice now. He's beaten John Cena, Rey Mysterio, Edge. Even coming out of Elimination Chamber a few months ago, he beat Edge to retain the championship. And he calls SmackDown A-Town down. So, that was the promo from Theory. They got to get the belt off the guy. I like Theory too. I think Theory's great, but this reign just ain't clicking. And they got to put the championship on someone that is, whether it be a Sheamus. And listen, he's already beaten Sheamus twice. I really, really have no desire to see that feud continue. I guess Sheamus might end up winning it, and that's whatever. I would prefer it be LA Knight. He's the hot hand right now. He's never held that championship before. Sheamus is like a 3-time United States champion. I'd rather they just move the fuck on from Sheamus and put the belt on LA Knight instead. They replay the Grayson Waller effect with Edge, setting up the match later on in the show, which they recap here. Edge versus Grayson Waller. Edge's in-ring return here against Grayson Waller in his main roster debut, actually. Good match. Edge won and said to Waller afterward on the mic that he swam, after saying he would sink or swim earlier in the evening, whatever. So Edge says here on the show, we actually get Edge on the SmackDown LowDown, and Edge tells Kathy Kelly that Waller was trying to leave his mark. And he's fine with him talking the talk because he proved he can back it up. And that says a lot about Grayson Waller. On the grand scheme of things, like in the bigger picture, Kathy brings up his MSG anniversary, 25 years of Edge in WWE, being back in MSG. Soon after he debuted, actually, in 98, which would have been 25 years ago. I think he debuted 25 years ago this month. And then he was at SummerSlam, I think, in 98, right? Wasn't that the Sable-Mark Mero match or whatever the fuck it was? And he was Sable's partner, who we mentioned by name, by the way, on SmackDown. But anyway, he said this was always his dream job, and he's going to be celebrating all month everywhere. It could be on Raw, it could be back on SmackDown, it could even be in NXT. I don't think Edge is going to be showing up in NXT, but I guess anything's possible. I thought this was great, though. Edge is just so fucking wholesome. I've talked to Edge a number of times now as part of interviews and stuff, and he's just the best. Edge is just fucking great. I love Edge. I don't know what's next for him. They kind of teased that here. Jackie back in the studio says, oh, he's got all these great accomplishments, what an iconic career. What is next for Edge? And Cam kind of alludes to the fact that he still has championship gold on his mind. I said earlier, he already challenged Austin Theory for the United States Championship unsuccessfully. He already challenged Roman Reigns, actually, for his championship unsuccessfully 2 years ago. So I'd rather they just have Edge move on to another rival, another opponent, whether it be continuing the story with, Grayson Waller or someone else on SmackDown. That would be my preference, but, it is what it is. Yeah, just Edge is great. He really made the show. The in-studio stuff on this episode from Jackie and Matt, it was largely replays, no real analysis. Not that I really watched the show for the analysis anyway. But the interviews kind of made the show. Theory's promo was good. He seemed fired up, but it's like I just find it hard to believe. Like it's hard for me to buy into what he's saying because he's booked like such a shit champion. He can't win on his own ever. I know, he's a heel, but like the guy has no credible wins to his name at all. He's beating a lot of names, all with interference every fucking time. Roman Reigns is one thing. Austin Theory is not Roman Reigns. And he's also not nearly as engaging or as compelling or as exciting as Roman Reigns is. And his stories, that's just a fact. So anyway, we heard from Theory. The Edge promo was great. And the Bianca promo set up her match with Asuka for next week. So solid stuff here from SmackDown LowDown. We'll try again next week with maybe a new crew. I don't really care either way, but I assume Megan Morant will be on the show next week. Jackie was on Raw this week. I remember that. She was on Raw Talk. So actually, she couldn't have been on Raw Talk if she was on Raw itself. I think Megan might have been on the show. Maybe with Scott Stanford. I don't remember. We'll try again next week with Raw Talk and SmackDown LowDown and see if Megan Morant makes her debut on that show. And if it's going to be her in Matt Camp going forward. Thank you guys for checking out my review. I appreciate it. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. Check out, like I said earlier, my on-site report from SmackDown in MSG. Had an awesome time on Friday night. Took some videos as well already up here on the channel. So check out all that content from the weekend. Appreciate you guys. Have an awesome one. I'm Graham G. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.